We have the pleasure of talking once again with Rabbi Leib Tropper. And today, our issues are current events and current crises, the Torah response. Rabbi Tropper, so many things going on in the world that seem to be tipping things over in all directions, with ISIS on one hand, and then the terrible tragedies in Eretz Israel, the loss of Torah leadership, Gedolei Torah. How do we deal with the constant onslaught and the inability to be able to absorb everything at once and to even cope with it on any level? And yet we see that we have to forge ahead and we have to keep going and we have to have a certain attitude. But who knows what that attitude is? What's the Torah response to all of this?
You know, I had in previous YouTubes, I think that I have stated clearly that I can only say what a Torah response is, not what the Torah response is, because I am no one to know what the Torah response is. I think Oscar Wilde said, I love talking about nothing, which is probably the only thing that I know much about.
That was Oscar Wilde, not Rabbi Tropper.
Right. No, but I can't say what is. I could say what maybe perhaps is a, not the Torah response. So I can share with you, first of all, I mean, obviously the crisis was condensed the way you expressed it, Paris. I mean, there's mass exodus from France, as you probably heard. Jews are leaving. It's like 1939 again, all over again, when Jews left Germany and running away and scared and petrified of. And now in America also we're petrified. We have a president that's not really friendly with Jewish people at all. More friendly to Jewish ideas in any event. I just want to tell you, there's a letter from Rav Shach by the war, the first Scud war. Remember that? What was it, 90? I think it was. Where Rav Shach wrote a very strong letter. I mean strong, I mean like tough. It was a sobering letter with criticism about people's reaction. The common reaction today is, I mean, this is definitely Siman of Mashiach, isn't it? And I get calls all the time. Isn't this a Siman of Mashiach, a sign of the ultimate redemption? Is the last thing that happened to Jews? Isn't that one? Isn't this thing? And rabbis probably, other rabbis get much more calls than I do. I'm sure people are saturated with these calls and these comments and these lectures, and people use it, make business out of it. You know, it's a Mashiach is coming, and he's almost coming. He's on the way. Messiah is here. You know, at the end of all days. So, how we Rav Shach understands it is quite total contrast to that response. His response is that anyone who responds to that by saying that is part of the group of heretics. Kfira. It's absolutely kfira. It's heresy. Disowning responsibility on a collective level for Klal Yisrael, disown responsibility for tragedy. Like saying, there's no tshuva to do. We just have to go and wait for Mashiach to come. Nothing we can do. Nothing. Shalom alay nafshi. Tranquil is my soul. I have nothing to do. I'm fine. There's no turbulence about what do I do? What did I do? How did I contribute to this terrible thing? Rav Shach says, we have to do tshuva. We have to take responsibility. We have to own this tragedy. Now, it could be Mashiach will just come and tell us great news. But it's we that have to own the tragedy. And if we don't, then it's kfir. Because it says all the time in the Torah, V'hoya, ki sikrena, rois, rabbis, when all these terrible things will happen, V'shavta Hashem alikecha. You have to return to your God. And there's nothing blocking, there's nothing in the way of repenting and turning back to what God wants from us. So if you understand, it's like what this is. I mean, this is Rav Shach's strong, firm words, and one is the form of Igris, his letters, that he says. People in the Scuds, okay, Scuds, missiles, wow, so far, he shot like all the way from 2,000 miles, landed here. A miracle didn't land, none of them landed in Bnei Brak. Well, it must be Mashiach time.
Rather than saying, what do I have to do?
No, I must do tshuva. We must change. We must scream out to Hashem, call out to God, please forgive us, tell us, show us a sign of what to do. how to correct ourselves.
Now, would that come from the Gedolei Dor, the leadership?
I just said, Rav Shach, who was the Gadol? He's Rabban Shekol B'nai Gadol. He was the Rav of all the Rabbanim. He was the Rebbe of everybody. He was the Rav Rabbanan. He was the one that was the master of all Rebbeim.
Which leads to the next question. In terms of today, we've seen the tragedies of the loss of so many Gedolei Torah today. Where are we today in terms of our response to these events and the guidance from Torah leadership? How do we be able to regain our sense of confidence in our Torah leadership today with the loss of so many Gedolei Torah?
That's something that I understand from the Gedolei of the last generation. I heard it b'shem Ramesh Londinsky, I heard it b'shem other ones, that is something that kind of tshuva is very, very difficult, because for us to cause someone to die is different from us to cause something, a bomb to go off in Beersheba. For us to call the Gadol Hador to die, because many times, I'm sure parents that you've heard this, and tell me if I'm wrong, you hear people say, okay, what does he know about this? I mean, does he know about that? And does he know about this? I mean, if the Gemara by the Zohar makes clear, Zeirun Minan, the smallest Tana, the smallest Amayra was able to be Machayim Mesim. What are you telling me? What does he know about this? What do you know about Chazal that you could say, you have the chutzpah to say anything about Chazal? What do you know about Gedolei Hador? What do you know about Rabbi Kivegas? How the man didn't have Hana from Olam Hazeh his whole life, and he was not only didn't have Hana, he was Yogeya b'Torah. He was put his whole effort into concentration on Torah, which is so complex, and the only thing he allowed to be written on his grave was Lomad Torah mitoch Yisurim. That he studied Torah out of Yisurim because it's a big schos, and you have to let a person write that. And Gedolim tell us in different Sifrei Minhagim. He lomad Torah mitoch Yisurim. He would drink a hot tea because of a shayla, a small suffix of what kind of bracha achrona you can make if you sip your tea. So he would go and they take a gulp of hot tea or cold tea, but he wouldn't drink it to enjoy it. He couldn't enjoy it. So that kind of Yirei Shemayim brings bracha of inner chachma to the inner workings of the Borei Olam. That dveikus to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for so much, and I'm no one to speak. Believe me, I am no one to speak. I'm the furthest person to speak. But I know the ideal. I wish that someday, putting all baggage of everybody else behind, we could get there. We could somehow climb up and reach, if we really want to. We really want to. How much do we really want to? How much are we willing to pay? I don't mean cash. That's nothing. Abish doesn't need your cash. How much are we willing to pay in terms of our avodas Hashem, to interfere with other delights in life? And those delights that were turned in from fun to needs, those delights that were turned from somewhat of a relaxation to frivolous, uncontrolled, undefined behavior. And God forbid sometimes lewd behavior. So I think that we have the particular thing to introspect about regarding the Petira of the Gedolei Yisrael. Did we, Hashem gave us a gift. Harab Shmuel Vosner Halevi was a gift. Ramoshe Mordechai Schulzinger from Bnei Brak, Zecher Tzadik Levracha, wrote about him that he heard from the Chazon Ish. In Sefer Moshe Eved Hashem, Kuntris, he brings down that the Chazon Ish counted 37 Gedolim. You couldn't count more than that. You couldn't count to 71. That would be in the Sanhedrin HaGodel if Mashiach would come in his time. And one of them was Shmuel HaLevi Vosner. So we're talking about somebody who's beyond the beyond. And on him, if we weren't mechabed him properly, if we didn't listen to his Das Torah properly, if we didn't listen to other Gedolei Yisrael Das Torah properly, Hashem takes them away. I mean, there's no purpose. What's the purpose? To make us more guilty and more guilty? If Rabbi Chanan Wasserman was alive and we didn't listen to what he had to say, so make us more guilty that we're Mavasa Gedolei Yisrael? That is but just one perspective. I don't know the perspective that I say. This is one perspective, but for sure it's a meaningful perspective, and for sure it's something that we have to react on. Are we mechabed? And I don't mean every Yankel, Moshe, David, Oshe Yaina is a gadol. I mean those who are authentic Gedolei Yisrael, that we know. And I want to share with you something, and I think it's important that you hear this. And I know maybe people outside will say, hey, you're talking kfira, I'm talking upper curses, I'm talking almost upper curses, it's close to upper curses, but I'm gonna say it because I heard it from Yaakov Kamenetsky, Zecher Tzadik V'Kodesh Levracha. I heard it from him. He said that there were people, Gedolei Yisrael, who had opinions, and maybe we don't follow them, perhaps, who had opinions about certain inyanim. They were Gedolei Yisrael. Marona Rav Yosef Doiv Halevi Soloveitchik from Boston, Rabbi Yaakov said to me, anyone who has the chutzpah, the ha'oza, the nerve, the audacity to call him JB, Rabbi JB or JB, is Osid Litein Es Hadin. Now for somebody to bring me a raya that he signed himself JB Soloveitchik on certain things, now, you know that's Narish guy. He's allowed, he could do it. He can make a lot of covered if he wants. But for God Lador, for us to go and abuse that. JB said it. What kind of a language is that? Rabbi Yankov's words were, I repeat, Osid Litein Es Hadin. It will not go unpunished. Whether in the next world, this world, sometime. We need to understand what a Talmud Chacham means, and somebody who's a Machanech, a Meriderech, somebody who is showing us how to lead our lives in something that may not be comfortable for us. And when we don't do that, Chas v'Shalom, it definitely generates hashbot to the Eibishter to decide whether we need him living now or who wants to be in this world with all the kind of environment and the tzaris. The Gemara says, Rabbi Yosef's Amar Rabbi Yosef, the Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Yosef says, Mashiach is going to come. You tell me, live to Mashiach. Yesei v'lo yachminei. Let Mashiach come, I don't want to be there. The tzaras of Klai Yisrael will be so great, I don't want to be there. So the Heilige Pisetz the Rebbe writes in the Sefer Eish Kodesh. The Pisetz the Rebbe, Kodesh v'nei Rishmai. Rav Shapiro is Kodesh l'bracha. Shem Yom Kavdamai. So he writes there that, what does it mean? It's okay, so it's like a toothache, you have a terrible toothache, an unbearable toothache, and we're going to the dentist, Kadosh Baruch Hu is pulling it out. It does hurt. But after the hour, it feels relieved. It feels pain. There's no more pain. So why would you basically say, "Yes, I don't want to see the pain"? It'll be there for a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, and then it'll be gone. Why did Rabbi Yossi say, "Yes, I don't want to be there when it happens"? Listen, now, boys. Listen to the beautiful words of the Pisetz the Rebbe. He said that he didn't. Rabbi Yossi didn't mind being there. He could withstand, and live through the tzaris of pre-Mashiach. But how could he watch others suffer? Yesi v'lo yachmini. I don't want to be there to watch other Yidden be in such agony and pain. That's a Gadol's perspective, a Manhig's perspective, a Kodesh's perspective. But as I mentioned, going back to full circle, the idea of losing Gedolei Yisrael is very well connected to how we treat the Gedolei Yisrael.
There are things within our own midst, Rav Leib Tropper, that add to this pain and angst. One of them is a subject which is a sensitive issue, and it's on an entirely different tack. But let's say, for example, people who take a totally different stand in terms of Yiddishkeit and feel that they are the ones that have the answers. For example, the role of women in Judaism. A lot of people feel that when somebody says Shelo Asani Isha, that's suggesting some type of inequality. And there's been a lot of talk and a lot of separation and a lot of hard feelings because of this misperception of the role of women in Judaism. Do you think that you could help us understand a little bit of that in terms of where it stands of the angst that it seems to be causing in our current events? And certainly it's a crisis when it separates Jews instead of unifying them. Is there a way that we could understand this to help us be more unified and to help us appreciate the role of women and how to get away from the misperception of the inequality of the way it's perceived?
B'shus, I say b'shus. People, I don't know the audience is here right now, but for those men or women if I, God forbid, offend you or say something that maybe not in line with what your thinking is, I ask forgiveness, because I'm only representing an approach. I'm not saying my own approach, my own understanding or clarification of that. It is a very difficult thing for women. And just yesterday, somebody said that to me. He said to me that, come on, Rabbi, he says, the women are still inferior in Judaism. I knew this person was kind of he's a Shano Pirish Kashim Yikulam. He's a person who knew all the truth, and then he just decided that he's out. He opted out of Yiddishkeit.
His question was an answer, and not a question.
Exactly. So it was kind of, the Gemara says, Shano Pirish Kashim Yikulam. Person was once in and then goes out. It's like more difficult than anything. It's almost a waste of time. So but in truth, in my own heart, I tried to explain to him some points. Now, we have to understand that the secular vocabulary that we use is sometimes very clear, but does not mean that it always defines the Torah language. There is a different language and different value system in Yiddishkeit. Torah value the word inferior, superior. It's not. There's no such word. I mean, there's no word Jew that's more superior than another Jew. Gadol Hador, that more superior. There are halachas that apply to them, which we decided to call them, makes them inferior or superior. Saving a Kain before a Levi doesn't make the Levi inferior. There are halachas that apply to a Kain with the Eibush Kadosh Baruch Hu his great Havana, in his domain of thought and understanding, and the Eibush wanted, but that doesn't define things in English. It defines things in Torah language, and there is a Torah language for those things. And it's not a simple Torah word to accept. The only thing that makes equality for human beings on this planet is service to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And one who does their service to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, whether it looks inferior, whether it sounds inferior, whether the people in the street think it's superior, that doesn't play a role. Somebody could wipe the floors and be the most chashiv one to the Eibush would dance for him, and somebody could be sitting and steiging on Zohar and Kabbalah, and then you Talmud Yerushalmi Bavli Mechilta Sabrisa Frosa Free, and we owe him Kavod HaTorah, but it may not be as chashiv as the other person. We don't know what's superior. We only know one thing: the most superior endeavor in the world, the most meritable endeavor in this world, is doing the Ratzon Hashem. How do we define what the Ratzon Hashem is for a woman to do this, to do that? There's a Shulchan Aruch. There is a Shulchan Aruch. There is the Beis Yosef, who had a charusa with the Malach from the Eibishter, and there is a charusa with Beis Yosef, who's a Gadol Hador independent of the Malach. And there are Gedolei Yisrael who are poskim. We follow Shulchan Aruch. Nobody disagrees with Shulchan Aruch that you make, whether the Chayodim or the Mishtabur, whichever person you hold, like whether you make a shackle on a radish or you make a repedam on a radish. You say, what's a radish inferior? You make a shackle, huh? What? Nobody here. Make a shackle, which is an inferior bracha to a repedam. You say, you make a shackle on a radish, and not. So if we dismiss all the ego and we hide behind what is the Ratzon Hashem, a person could be whoever they are. A Talmud Chacham, Kohen Gadol, is Talmud Chacham Amoritz is less. I'm sorry, Kohen Gadol Amoritz. Kohen Gadol Amoritz is less than a Talmud Chacham who's a mamzer. Remember that. Think of that. The Gemara in Huriyas, in the last pages of Huriyas, the Gemara anticipates this conversation. And the Gemara says that a mamzer that was born through an adulterous relationship, or any kind of chayvik crisis relationship, a mamzer that was born out of that relationship, it sounds disgusting, it's revolting, yet we say, that mamzer, Talmud Chacham, that which Tosha says in Saita means person who learns, doesn't go dalan amis without learning Torah. He's oduk, he's attached to the Bari Olam. It's more choshev than a Kohen Gadol who's an Amoritz. He's sitting next to the Eibishter in Shemayim. Maybe here in the world they don't want to give him an aliyah anywhere. They don't want to introduce him to come to a yeshiva. Who knows what? That doesn't change his status to the Bari Olam. That doesn't change his status. Please, I beg you to understand this. That we don't use the English language to define spiritual concepts. Inferiority, shmiarity. We use what we see in this world as inferior. I mean, is that the correct diction to use? This is inferior because she has to go cook for the kids in the home, or she feels she has to cook for the 7 kids in the house. Maybe it makes her greater. Let's say there was a big sign. Let's say we changed our language. We said, women who cook are superior. Men who work are inferior. If that was the culture, everybody would say they want to cook. So we used a word that was culturally developed. And we say, hey, this is what's going on. What's pshat? What's pshat? What I'm telling you, what I'm sharing with you, I should say, I don't tell anybody. What I'm sharing with you is emes la'amito shel Torah. Some people who have a right to will camouflage this by saying, it doesn't mean this, it doesn't mean that, it doesn't mean that. I know one Rav, not one Rav, few Rabbeim, walk around talking about the bracha of Shaloya Sani Isha. Shaloya Sani Isha, right? Men and women, Sani Kirt Sinai, as if to say that women don't need the mitzvahs to be great. They're great without the mitzvahs. Maybe such a pshat exists. Maybe Gedel Yisrael wrote that pshat. But the Torah in the Beis Yosef writes that when a woman says Shaloya Sani Isha, it's like saying Baruch Dayan Emes. She's makabel her role in life. That doesn't mean she's inferior. That means she's a man probably wouldn't be makabel that. A male would be shying away. What do you mean Baruch Dayan Emes? What do you mean? I'm makabel this to be a woman and not to be a man. What do you mean? A man was
which is just Kiritzono.
Shasani Kiritzono. Whatever the Eibishter wants. That is what makes us superior as a superior human being as a man could be. Because she's saying to the Eibishter, however you make me, I love it. And I have my achrayos to do. And I can reach the greatest heights. But there are people who would cushion things. And Peretz remembers, probably this is reminiscent for him, my dear friend Peretz, my dearest friend Peretz, of the things we had in a show called Sichat Dugri, straight talk. Because I could try to allow you to hear what you want to hear, and cushion everything, and make cushy, and make nice, and tell you that no, it doesn't mean what it says. It says what it means. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean this. But it does say Shaloi Asani Isha, and it says in the Torah. Now, I don't know anybody in today's door, at least, who could argue with the Torah. It says it's a bracha of Tziduk Hadin. Accepting justice from the Eibishter. That accepting the justice of the Eibishter is the greatest thing in the world. Makes a woman special to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Not that she's saying Tziduk Hadin on her being, on her gender. Tziduk Hadin that she wasn't given all the opportunities of mitzvahs just in service to Hashem, not in reward, but in serving Hashem in that way. But she gets equal reward. Because Baruch Hu knows that women would love to go and serve a God just as much as men would. So that's why Baruch Hu said, listen, I have a reason, there's a plan. Just be makabel on yourself this thing that you don't have that obligation to do. Not that you can't become as great, as superior. This is my rotzen. I want you to shake your head, besimcha, embrace it, and thank God for it. Thank you so much. I know this is a very difficult topic, and if you want to call me up and yell at me, I guess you know how to reach me. Just do that. But I'm sharing with you a perspective that wasn't taught to me by me. It was taught to me by people much, 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 much greater to me. People who I am totally inferior to, and they are totally superior to me. Gedolei Yisrael. There is a particular Gadol, call him a Talmud Chacham. His name was, he wrote a Tkufa Ubayoseo Rav Wolf, Aleph Yud Wolf. I don't know what the initials are that, Aleph Yud Wolf. He was a head of that's all. He was a seminar principal in Bnei Brak. And he was a very close, it's called Ish Saidai. He was one of the confidants of Moran the Chazon Ish, Bechanan, another Gedolei Yisrael. And this is his message in his Sefer, Hatkufa Ubayosel. When it first, in its early early stages, in the incipient days of that problem coming up, about the challenge from every avenue, from every street, challenging Torah mitzvahs. And that's growing more and more, unfortunately. Be'ezer Hashem, we will learn. Limud Torah is one of the ways to learn the true Torah, to finish Shas, to finish Babali, and to learn, not just have haphazard translation from Amloyas and try to answer deep questions. To learn Torah, or to Mekabel Torah from a Rebbe who's a Talmid Chacham Muflog, and he adopted a Messiah in his life from his Rebbe. May Kadosh Baruch Hu help us all. That we should treat the Yemei HaSfira as the message is clear. We are in Avelis. We now in the year 2016, we're in Avelis about being in Avelis. That shouldn't be so. We're in Avelis. I can't go to a concert. What am I going to do? So we're becoming Avelis about the Avelis that we're supposed to be in. We're supposed to be at Avelim, and Avelim don't go to a concert. And all of a sudden, we're crying. We can't go to a concert. Can't we find a way? Acapulco, whatever it's called, the acapella. Sorry, acapella. They have it in Acapulco also, right? Have that. You can go there and find that as well. Find ways. Why can't we just like? I also am part of victim. My family is all they need adrenaline of. That's another problem. Just constant adrenaline. People need a problem as well. But we need adrenaline of like music and this, and it has to be music that's going to make your nose move and your ears move, and it's going to bop and hop, and not you can't listen to a pasha niggin that is beautiful, that has poetic meaning to it. Imagine if the Eibushter sang a niggin. Imagine if Moshe Rabbeinu sang Oz Yasher today. What would you have? Every single shitmendrik coming along, advising him what kind of musical instruments to use, what kind of thing to use. And when Shiras Miriam, Taif beyond that, you just took a little drum. Imagine today, how people would say, drum, like that. So we have to try to understand and adapt to what the Eibushter Rotzen Hashem. I am furthest from all of you in that area of Ratzon Hashem. I need to adapt to the Ratzon Hashem. I need to work towards it. Working towards it itself is a great thing the Eibishter likes, loves. I think I'll end with this thought. The Kuzari writes in the last page, it was an amazing thing what he says. If I ask you, do you want to go to Eretz Yisrael? Ask many people if they want to move to Eretz Yisrael. Of course they do. But kisufin, the concept of the soul attaching itself to its desire and thinking about it and making it a conscious desire, that you're driving in the car, you think about Eretz Yisrael. I'm not saying every second of the day. Kirotzu avadeas esavaneh ve'esafar yechaninu. Zok the Kuzari kirotzu avadeas avaneh. The fact that the servants of God desire to want to be there without even being there, the rotzen to be there. The rotzen in other areas as well, not only with Eretz Yisrael. The rotzen to do mitzvahs is an amazing, what should I say? It's a amazing activity of the mind that's embraced by the Eibishter. May all of us be zeicher to see Yeshua's v'nachames. Sfira should be counting days of happiness in our life, not days of avelis. Sfira should be turned into Yimei Sasa and V'simcha for us to sing and to make sing others. Mr. Shem, Meherav Yameinu, Amen. Thank you so much.
Amen.